everyone all happy and waiting for the Friday to come. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming to be with us this afternoon. Right now, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we reconvene in open session and adopt certification of closed session.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we reconvene in open session and adopt certification of closed session.
Certification of closed session. Whereas the Dimwitty County School Board has convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas paragraph 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dimwitty County School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board. J. Sneff, District 1.
I certify.
Betty Haney, District 2.
I certify.
Barbara Pittman, District 3.
I certify.
Mary Benjamin, District 4.
I certify.
Shirlene Merritt, District 5.
I certify.
Non-voting members, Jamaica Weaver, Student Representative absent, Claire Carbreth, Student Representative. Madam Chair, all certified.
Thank you. Now, I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will the leaders please come forward?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yo prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos.
Thank you. You may be seated. I would like for the students who led us in the pledge to introduce yourselves, or will the teachers come up with them? Or
This is Saquiel Arellano. He is in third grade. And this is Logan. He's in Miss Allen's class, and he's in second grade. And this is Jorge Acevedo. He is in Miss Douglas's class. He's in fourth grade. And this is Johanna, and she's in the fifth grade team.
thank you. Good job. Parents, would you like to stand? Guardians, let us see you. Thank you, and thank you for allowing us to teach your students. Madam Secretary, are there any amendments to the agenda?
No amendments.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Closed session report.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of the administration for student number LT 12/21-1, long-term suspension using time served, and provide alternative education.
Second.
It has been moved in second that we accept the recommendation of administration for student number LT-12/21/1. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It has been moved. It's
Madam
approved.
Chair, I make a motion that we modify the recommendation of the administration for student number LT-12/21-2 and return the student to school using time served.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It has been, the motion is approved.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the personnel list, the recommendations of the administration regarding the personnel list as presented.
The second.
Second.
It has been moved in second that we accept the personnel list as presented. All of those in favor?
Aye.
The motion is carried. Recognitions?
Yes, I'd like to have Ms. Clark come forward with our recognitions for this evening.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
So we have some very exciting recognitions today. Today, we're going to start with our theater team, and I know we have some representatives here. So our Dimwitty High School theater team participated and were champions of the Region 4B South theater competition. It was just about a little over a month ago. So then after that, by winning the 4B South, they got to participate in Super Regional, which the Super Regional consisted of Region 4B North, 4B South, because remember before when we talked when Cheer was here, 4B has gotten quite large. And then they also had Region 4A. So our sponsor is Guillermo Lopez, an alumni of Dimwitty High School. And they performed, their play was The Insanity of Mary Gerard. I hope I said that correctly. Did I get it right? Okay, so if you would come up, and we want to recognize you and some of the performers. Okay, let's go with performers. All right, so who do we have here today?
I'm in 11th grade.
Okay.
I'm Abby. I'm also in 11th grade. I'm Ivory, and I'm also in 11th grade.
So this is my, Zion is my drama club president for the whole group for the school year. And then Abby played the lead character of the show, Mary Gerard. And Ivory was one of the people in our booth running the tech stuff for the show.
Exciting. So congratulations. Because in recent years, we haven't heard of a lot of competitions.
Yes.
So this is exciting to have competitions again. And we know that you also held some performances in some community, and the school got to see it as well.
Yes.
So great. So congratulations. And we know we'll hear from you again in the future.
Yes.
So
Is
thank
this
you.
the team that I saw rehearsing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed watching them.
All right, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit. So the next award, which we did post this on Facebook, so this is not a surprise, but at the VSBA convention, our chair, Miss Mary Benjamin, was named the VSBA Southside Regional School Board Member of the Year.
Right.
So, wrong plaque, this plaque. So she got a wonderful little plaque in the state of Virginia for the state. So this is hers. So we want to recognize you again for all of your hard work.
Thank
We
you.
submitted the application back over the summer. It was back over the summer, and then we learned that. So we have a good track record on this. No pressure, but we have won this award 2 years in a row because Mrs. Pittman won it last year, and it isn't the first time we've won it. But we are very proud of you. So here's you can have this back.
Thank you.
Yes, dear. Thank you.
But
And
may,
thank you for your
but may I
service.
say that this before we go any further, that I owe this to the constituents who sent me, the parents, the students, the partners with the about to say Philadelphia, Dimwitty School District, and also to the fine team that we have here. I did not do it alone. And Central staff, what can I say about you? They talked about the regional dinner that was done here just before COVID and how outstanding it was and the great meal that the students put on. So, Dinwiddie, this is for you. My name may be on it, but this is for you, and I thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you. So that VSBA convention happened just after our last board meeting in November. So that was a fresh new one for us. So another one that happened just last week is Mrs. Barbara Pittman. She was recognized for the Lifetime Achievement Award by the County Chamber of Commerce. So we also placed that on Facebook. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
We're going to just give you your plaque. You've already received
Yes,
one.
ma'am.
We'll give it to you again.
Thank you.
But the way that worked, nominations were submitted, and so Miss Pittman was on the list of nominations, and then people could vote. And Mrs. Pittman was named that at their annual, their Best of the Best that they held last week, just up the road from here at Cedar Lane.
Cedar Lane
Yep, I got it right.
Farms.
Cedar Lane Farms. So congratulations, and we
Thank you.
appreciate.
Thank you.
It is very well deserved for all of your service to
Thank
our
you.
community and the school board.
And I would like to say too that one of the nice things about Dimwitty County is that there are a lot of organizations and people who are all doing their little piece. We have the organizations that take care of this and people that take care of that. And if there's enough of those around, then we have a good community and a good place to live and raise your children. So I participate with lots of other people, just like Mary said. I don't do anything I do by myself. It's always a group, and some of you get sucked into that group as well. And thank you very much for helping.
So thank you. All right. So if I could have Miss Brooks. So Miss Brooks is our school readiness and literacy coordinator, and she has some friends that are going to come in and join us. It is the holiday season, so we have a special treat.
And unfortunately, not all could make it because, like we said, it is the season. So we have two little friends and their teacher and their para that have still said they're going to come in and join us.
Good.
This is Layla and Grayson, and they attend Sunnyside Elementary School in our preschool program. And we have Miss Melanie Jiggets, the teacher, and Miss Tanisha Smith, the paraprofessional. And they had prepared 2 songs. So the teachers, because they're very flexible, have graciously said that they would sing them with them. So we have the 2 of them. I'm going to get out of the way.
Twinkle, twinkle, Christmas star, how I wonder what you are. Santa needs your shining light. Guide him on his way tonight. Twinkle, twinkle, Christmas star, how I wonder what you are. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's all do a little clapping. Let's all do a little clapping. Let's all do a little clapping and spread Christmas cheer. Let's all do a little jumping. Let's all do a little jumping. Let's all do a little jumping and spread Christmas cheer. Let's all do a little dancing. Let's all do a little dancing. Let's all do a little dancing and spread Christmas cheer. Let's all do a little waving. Let's all do a little waving. Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Goodness.
It takes someone to be very, very brave to get up and sing in front of all these people. So thank you.
We would like for you to, parents,
Thank you.
so at this time, we're gonna take a 3-minute break for recess for those who have young people and they have to get ready for school tomorrow. Then you may be excused to take pictures or what you want to do in the hall. And thank you so much for coming, and do have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season.
Isn't she though? I mean,
You're so cute.
yeah, but you gotta dance and jump.
You gotta jam.
Turn it on, push that little button down, so get ready to bed.
There we
There we
go.
go. And then you press arrow 1, right, left, and okay. Right now you don't have anything else to do. That's it. Then you finish, you just turn it back off and let the next person use it.
Right or left?
Yeah,
Right
you'll see
goes
it
to the
change.
next page.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, they actually had, I couldn't see it, yeah, red is on, so we'll leave it on. It's already on now.
I hope I can.
So one of these was in the box. Was yours in the box?
I'm not sure. to tell you
No,
the
that
truth.
was Miss.
This was Benjamin.
Okay.
I don't wanna mess your box.
Okay, I guess we can continue now. We're gonna move on with our meeting with the consent agenda. I need a motion to accept the expenditure reports.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the expenditure reports.
A second.
You've heard the motion, and we have the second to accept the expenditure reports. All those in favor, use the sign.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, the expenditure reports are accepted. Approval of minutes from November the 9th.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes from November the 9th.
I second it.
It has been moved and seconded that the minutes for the meeting of November the 9th, 2021 be accepted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no nays, the minutes are approved. Board matters.
Yes, Ms. Benjamin, I want to ask Ms. Fleming to come forward. Ms. Fleming is going to, yes. This is kind of like your Oscar moment. So Ms. Fleming's going to come forward. We need approval for all of these items, both the ones that Mrs. Fleming is going to present as well as Ms. Wolf will be forward next. Okay. Yes, the track will be first and the next will be about transportation.
Good afternoon. Merry Christmas. I come before you today to ask for approval to enter into a contract with ATC. It's formerly American Tennis Courts, to strip and dispose of the current track material and to completely install a new track at our athletic complex behind Dimwitty Middle School. This is something that needed to be done extremely bad. If any of you have been out there near the track, you will certainly know that it's none too soon. We technically probably should be working on redoing the track every 5 years, and it's been since 2011 since we've done anything to that facility. So we want to enter in a contract with American Tennis Courts for $317,066.24 using the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance contract. We are utilizing FY21 end-of-year funds, part of the $1 million that we included in our budget adoption this year. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try and answer those. I believe Mr. Atkins is here, and we can try and answer any questions that you may have.
I just have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
How long do they give us that to take to complete, to get it started? I guess they have to clear away the old.
Yes, ma'am. Actually,
How much time?
the work for this won't be done until later this spring. It won't start until after the spring track, and then I don't. Brad, do you know how long they said it was going to take to
Or Jimmy.
complete? Or Jimmy?
Do you know?
Not sure weather permitting, probably.
Yeah. I think it won't be really ready to be used until August and September in the fall when the cross country or the track sports start back up.
Any approval for that?
We need to go ahead though and get on their books. That's why we're doing this so early, so that they can plan to have this work done, because as you know, work is filling up and it's hard to get contractors.
All right, so this is an action item, so we need to approve this.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the contract and the amount stated to ATC to have them to resurface and remove, basically redo the track located at Athletic Field.
I second.
It has been moved and second that we resurface the track located at the athletic field and using the contractor as said. All those in favor? Aye. Hearing no nays, it's approved.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Weaver, our track coach, will be most excited. Okay. Can I go
Yes,
on to the
of
next?
course,
Okay.
that's
All right. So Ms. Clark and I are here to bring before you a positive, a really positive thing. We received the school bus, well, let me rephrase that. We received an application for the school bus driver incentive grant program, which is funded through CARES monies. The state put out an application for this late November. They have announced that they will award divisions funding to assist with school bus driver recruitment, retention, and shortages. And it's going to be based on a priority application process. So priority for funding requests are going to be based on the severity of shortages, student poverty, the school division ability to pay, and fleet size. And Dimwitty County Public Schools qualifies for $50,000. So as of today, we have not heard back from our application, but we submitted an application proposing to increase the hourly rates for bus driver pay by 6%. So this would also include our car drivers, our full-time bus drivers, our part-time bus drivers, and our bus aides. These new rates, we are hoping, if we can get notification, would begin effective January the 1st. And this will provide all of our bus drivers somewhere between 11 to 13.6% increase over FY 2021's rates. So we really think this is a great thing if we can do this. We do, this would be an ongoing expense, and we would have to incorporate this in our FY 2023 budget. But as you know, we know that that's an area that we would need to provide some attention to, and we are pretty positive that the salary compensation study is going to show that that's an area we need to provide attention to as well. Christine, do you want to?
So the state had roughly $2 million in this pool for the entire state. So we're not sure. We're hoping that we get the entire 50,000, but we're not guaranteed that. So it's for all of these competitive grants that we're submitting, they get everyone's application, they look at the needs, and then they start divvying out the money. So we could get 50,000, we could get less. You know, we're going to be at their mercy of when they tell us. The other thing, so we were in the smaller division pool, so for 50,000, whereas the larger divisions could qualify for 100,000. So if every single division applied for it, certainly the $2 million would not be able to cover everyone in the whole state. So, but we don't know what other divisions did. It was due December the 3rd. I was hoping we would hear by now.
Mm-hmm.
Some grants we hear the next day, others several weeks.
Yeah.
So they're working through that, all those grants. So we're hopeful. From what we submitted, we're really hopeful that we're going to get the 50,000.
And so we're asking you today to approve these new hourly rates, pending approval of the grant, and we will do everything we can to make sure that we can make this happen with the funding that we
If we
receive.
don't get the 50,000 and we get less, will we
We're
adjust from there?
we will either adjust or we will try to amend some other grants to be able to possibly make this happen. It just
Answer B.
Yeah.
Yes, we're looking at the
We're
other
looking
grants.
at moving
Other
other
grants
things around,
to-
okay.
Yeah, so that we can do this.
They need, this is an action item.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We would need approval.
Approval for this. I am glad to see this and hope this helped to alleviate some of the driving issues that we have going forward.
We do too, Ms. Benjamin.
Just the beginning.
Need a motion?
Charlotte? Okay, let me make sure I'm right.
Yeah.
This is about the salary or, am I looking at the new bus?
Yeah, new bus scales.
Mhm, okay, gotcha, all right,
Yes, ma'am. I attached a copy of what the new scales would look like.
okay, all right. Madam Chair, I move that we approve the presentation on the new bus scales.
You've heard the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
It has moved in second that we approve the new bus scales. All those in favor, use the usual sign. Aye. Hearing none, it's approved. Approval of 2022-2023 secondary course offerings.
On behalf of the
Yes.
Transportation Department and Mr. Tucker, they thank you.
Yes, they do.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. As always, I had to move up my student survey a bit this year in order to prepare for our master scheduling at the high school. With this coming back sooner, I wanted to make sure the counselors had adequate time. We're also working with our data team to make sure that we update all the sched codes and things like that. So we actually sent out our student survey for the new course requests for 8th grade through 11th graders on the 10th of December is when I started, October is when I started receiving responses. We had a gen block that day and put it out to all of those underclassmen that would be impacted. And I had a few students email me late and say, can you turn it back on? So I think my last response that I received was actually the 3rd of November. So I had a total of just shy of 600, so 598 student responses in grades 8 through 11, majority being 9, 10, and 11th graders. Some of our 8th graders don't check their email quite as often, so we're working on that. But I have the courses, and I printed those out for you as well to have a copy. I think Bonnie said, Dr. Weston, you might already have one, but I printed that out because sometimes it's easier to see it all in one spot. So we have looking at past responses and student requests, and also considering the data in our area, we are seeing an increased demand for IT areas as well as health and medical sciences. And so those were the areas that we concentrated on getting student feedback on. And I highlighted those in yellow. So you can see from the chart, all of those that are in the tannish color or the light color is the middle school courses. Those that are in blue are shared between the middle and high school. The green are strictly high school. And then there are some courses that we collected data on. They're in kind of a lime green color, and they are ones that we'd like to offer, but they do have staffing implications. And so we just put them as future planned. The ones that are in that bright yellow color are the ones with the existing staff that we have that we would be able to work in. The one that I specifically wanted to talk about was the world languages. Currently, we've seen every year students have an interest in American Sign Language, which is now offered as a complete sequence with Virtual Virginia. And we do have a teacher that has expressed interest in pursuing that endorsement. Until her endorsement is complete, we'd like to pilot with our 9th graders a course through Virtual Virginia, but facilitated by the teacher for support as she works on that endorsement so that we could transition them into completing a sequence of American Sign Language 1, 2, and 3. So I think that would be a nice offering for our students that would like to get the advanced diploma, but maybe don't feel that Spanish is their top choice. And then, of course, there are other options through Virtual Virginia as well as Apex. If we scroll over towards our CTE areas to address the IT, we recently had Ms. Bulis join some of our CTE teachers in doing our programming course, and she's also doing the AP Computer Science. And so we would be offering database design and management, which would get more into the programming side and make a more complete pathway with that. And then scrolling over a bit further, we would have potentially bring back fashion design that has been requested for our students. And then I'm sure in the Rowani update, we'll hear more about plumbing, but that was also one that was discussed by the CTE directors with Ms. Simmers as a future option for our students that attend Rowani. Like I said, the ones in those bright greens, we had a strong interest for students in the family and consumer science area, and we do believe that we can offer baking and pastry specialization. Unlike Culinary 1 and 2, it's not a year-long course, so it does give us a little bit more flexibility in the master schedule, and the only prerequisite would be the Culinary Arts 1. And so I think that utilizes the strengths of Chef Capecci, as well as brings some additional options for our students. And then, as mentioned, we had students request year after year. They do have an opportunity to write in, what do you wish Dinwiddie had that you don't currently see offered? And so I have seen several years in a row something about sports medicine or EMT, child development and care and things of that sort. We can have our students attend John Tyler and do the early childhood development courses, but I do think that there is a strong need for early childhood education in our area, as well as we do have a pretty robust need for health sciences. So with our nursing homes and things like that, food science and dietetics, health and nutrition, the sports medicine and EMT seemed like likely courses. I don't believe at this point they would warrant a full-time teacher, but I think that would be discussed once we know more about our budget. So that concludes my recommendations for next year.
I have a question.
Yes,
On the
ma'am.
eliminating the AP US History, are
Correct.
we using dual enrollment
Yes, ma'am.
instead?
Yes, ma'am. And they still can take AP if they wish to through a virtual option. It's just that with us now having a teacher endorsed to do the dual enrollment, it just seemed like the better option. And it was requested by students
Right.
to move that direction. So
What's I can't read the top right.
Apex
Purple.
Virtual Learning Courses.
Oh, Apex.
yes,
Okay.
that is just one of the platforms that we use to expand our AP offerings and some other course offerings.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
About this, and maybe not so. When you do the survey and the students respond, and we do the addition, add the course, is the response as well as what they asked for? Do they take, do they take it? Are they responsive in when we offer it?
Yes. So how it traditionally works is I give them a Likert scale from 1 to 5. And I don't typically recommend adding the course unless we have at least 50 that say 4 to 5. And then you have to consider how many of them require a prerequisite or are restricted by certain grades, which comes into play. So for example, the baking, pastry, and specialization, even though I had over 100 students say sign me up today, which was a 5, I also know that we only have 20 students that complete culinary 1. And so kind of strategically planning that in the master schedule, how that would make sure we can get those students through that course in order to take that baking and pastry specialization is also going to be important. So for example, if we did add a position in family and consumer science, that teacher could also teach some of the intro, which may allow Chef Capecci to have 2 culinary 1s and then have the baking and pastry. So, the more courses that you add in the sequence tends to dwindle the numbers, and so you just want to make sure that you have the numbers to support that.
I see.
So the ones up there are the ones that had the numbers to support that, in my opinion.
Okay. Right, this is an action item, team. Are there any more questions?
No. Madam Chair, I move that we approve the secondary course updates as presented for 2022 to 2023.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we approve the 2022-23 secondary course offerings. All of those in favor, use the usual sign.
Aye.
Hearing none. It's approved.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, is there any new business? No new business. Superintendent matters.
Yes, I'd like Ms. Powell to come forward, please, and to bring us an health plan update.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
We've had 2 successful vaccination clinics at the November 16th event in the 12 and older age group. 34 received booster shots, 19 received their first dose, and 2 received the second dose. In the 5 to 11-year-old group, 64 children received their first dose. We also administered 16 flu shots that evening. We just did another one on December 7th, and in the 12 and older group, 40 received booster shots, 3 received the first dose, and 11 received the second dose. In the 5 to 11, which is, really important to us, 23 received their first dose and 56 came back for their second dose. So super successful. Also that night we gave 14 additional flu shots. So both were very successful. The high school did a great job of helping us get it set up. And the night of December 7th, we were given all these vaccines. We had a basketball game, boys, varsity, and JV, and there was a band concert. So a lot going on in that same time span, but they did a great job accommodating us. So. We also have 24 staff members who have completed the undesignated stock albuterol administration training. And that brings me to my next presentation, if it's okay to go ahead. Okay. House Bill 2019 requires each local school board to adopt and implement policies for the possession and administration of undesignated stock albuterol. That's already in our policy. So what I'm bringing you tonight are some guidelines and procedures to go with the policy that's already there. This has to take effect January 1st, 2022. We were given an allocation from the state as a one-time payment to support the requirements. We chose to supplement that so that we could make sure we had albuterol in all 7 schools, pathways, and here at the school board office, just in case of an emergency. We're covered everywhere. We were hoping to get the MOU taken care of, and we have received that. We put in an order for the albuterol, and it came in yesterday. So it's already been distributed to the school. So we're ready for that January 1st deadline. You have in front of you the guidelines and procedures that we've kind of drafted. First, you have the legislative background, just to kind of give you an idea of where this is coming from. Then we've got our responsibility, the required training, which our personnel have already done. And that doesn't mean we can't add more. We wanted at least 2 staff members trained at every location. So, and I have a list of that to keep on file if requested. We've got the process for obtaining it, which has been an extremely simple process. How it will be stored, how it will be administered, and then we've got all of the levels of distress outlined so that the staff would know who would need to receive the albuterol and how much and what steps would be taken before, during, and after. So we really didn't have a choice with this because it is House Bill 2019. We kind of had to have it there.
So they gave us a one-time payment, so, and they're requiring that we have it, but these things have shelf life, right? So now we're going to have to provide them going forward, like
Unfunded
like
mandates.
unfunded mandates. That's what I was trying to get to, just like EpiPens.
That's correct.
That's correct.
We did budget for it next year, though, so it's in the budget. Okay. Any other questions?
Is it as pricey as EpiPens?
No, ma'am.
Oh, good.
The albuterol itself is $20 a canister, and that's 400 puffs. And then we chose, you can do the disposable chamber
Mouthpiece,
holders,
yeah.
but in talking to the nurses, we chose to go with the ones with the mask because you're getting more of the albuterol, and if you're in distress, you want to get as much of it as you can. And those are reusable. I mean, I'm sure eventually we would need to replace those. But we ordered a large for each locality and a small, even for the high school, just in case there happens to be a family with children up there and the child goes in distress. We wanted to be covered, so.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Ms. Powell? It's not an action item.
No, it is not.
Thank you so much for the update.
Yes, ma'am. Everyone have a great holiday.
And
You too. Thank you.
And now I'd like to ask Ms. Brooks to come forward to give us an update about the VPI Steering Committee. And also English learners.
Mini hats.
Many hats.
I'm like, do I need that? I'm gonna make sure I have it. Okay, so I'm here this evening, first of all, for our early learning in Dimwitty County to provide you with an overview of the opportunities that we have, what our local Virginia Preschool Initiative plan consists of, information from the Virginia Department of Ed on building a unified early childhood system, the Preschool Development Grant, along with our vision, challenges, and goals for early learning in Dinwiddie County. Now I have to remember how I do this, Bonnie. I did turn it on. Okay. Yay, we practice, but you kind of forget. So first of all, just to talk a little bit about our preschool opportunities. When we talk about early learning, lots of folks in the community get confused about what's what, even in the school system. What's VPI, what's Bright Stars, what's Head Start, what's ECSE. So right now, if we look at all of the opportunities in our county, we have our Virginia Preschool Initiative Grant, which is state funded, and that's our Bright Stars program. Our Bright Stars are for 4-year-olds only. So Ms. Jiggets that came to us this evening, that's one of our Bright Star teachers. Have 80 slots that are slotted to us in the county. We actually have 105, but for now we are trying to fulfill those 80 slots. This school year, we had over 120 families apply through our online coordinated, our joint application with Head Start. So what happens with that is Head Start and VPI meet together, and we go through the children and we see which children meet qualifications for Head Start and which ones meet qualifications for Virginia Preschool Initiative. Our VPI program, our Bright Stars program, has grown in just the last 2 years from 36 slots in 2 classrooms at one school to 80 slots in 4 classrooms in 3 schools. So, and that's just been in the last 2 years, including this year. Our early childhood special ed preschool, early learning opportunities. This program is for 2, 3, and 4-year-old students with disabilities that have met criteria to be serviced with an individualized education plan. So we have 24 slots. That program has grown from 2 classes in 1 school to 3 classrooms in 2 schools. We're currently at Southside and Sutherland. Then we have Head Start, and Head Start is a federal grant which is run through the community agency, the Improvement Association. This year, they have increased their slots to 64. They're actually in 5 school divisions. So with not being able to meet enrollment in some of their other divisions, they increased their slots here. They service 3 and 4-year-olds. They did increase their 3-year-olds this school year from 1 classroom to 2, and then they have a split 3-4 classroom. And then lastly, but not leastly, we have our family providers and our daycare centers. So the ones that we're the most familiar with, our family providers, they have limited enrollment based on the ages of the children that join their program, because if they get an infant, then that decreases the number of children that they're allowed to have. So they currently, our family providers in Dimwitty County have no openings for 3 and 4-year-olds at this time. And then we have our daycare centers. We have Greenhouse, Stepping Stones, and Angels at Play. Now we know we have some other early learning opportunities in the county that are run through our faith-based ministry, but the ones that we really communicate with and collaborate with are the ones that receive state funding. So Greenhouse has 175 slots. They service 2, 3, 4-year-olds and before and after school. Stepping Stones has 45 slots. They service students 2.5, 3, 4s, and their biggest population right now is their before and after school aged children. And then Angels at Play is 143 slots. And they accept infants up until, like all of them up until that 12-year, 11-month age is what their enrollment is. Most of our daycare centers, their biggest enrollment is before and after school. And they currently still do have a few openings of 3 and 4-year-olds. So part of our work with them is the students that have applied that haven't been accepted through Dimwitty County Public Schools. We're able to communicate with those families and say, you know, have you checked out Angels at Play or Stepping Stones or Greenhouse? They continue to have some openings. So here's just an overview of where we are with our current enrollment. We have 71 students at Bright Stars. We're still trying to really get those last, I wouldn't say 8, because we have found with last year and this year that having 20 preschoolers in one classroom is very challenging, especially when we're really focused on equity and including students with disabilities in our Bright Stars program. Our early childhood special ed program, we have 2 classes at Southside and 1 at Sutherland, and we have a few more openings there. Head Start is at capacity. They do have a waiting list for 3-year-olds. So again, that's an opportunity to collaborate with our daycare providers in the community and with those families that have those 3-year-olds to see if there's a possibility of getting them into a preschool program. And then here are our locations again. Sunnyside was just added this school year. Sutherland was added last year with our Bright Stars program. And then at Sutherland, our early childhood program was added this school year. So when we talk about Virginia Preschool Initiative, we really focus on the years before a child enters kindergarten. And we know that that directly affects their ability to thrive in kindergarten and beyond. So when we talk about school readiness, we mean preparing all children for kindergarten by supporting the birth through 5 programs. Virginia focuses, it includes key classroom practices such as the use of high quality curriculum and assessments, teacher-child interactions, and individualized professional development for our staff. And it also includes strengthening that family engagement piece. So if you look at what we provide in our local plan, we have that quality preschool, we have a vetted program, our teachers are being observed with the class tool, which collects data on the interactions between the teacher and the children in the classroom. Definitely, we have provisions for family engagement and recognizing that families are a child's first and forever teacher, so we work closely with them. We look at providing equity for our students with disabilities and our English learners. And we also collaborate with stakeholders in the community to make sure that we're ensuring comprehensive services for all of our students. I'm not sure how much you're aware of the Virginia Quality Rating System that we used to have in Virginia. That is now being modified, and we are starting to implement a unified early childhood system. All of the family providers and the daycare centers and any program for early learning that accepts public money has all been moved from the Department of Social Services to VDOE. So that was part of Governor Northam's, one of his executive orders. So this past summer, they started the work on this unified system. And what their hope is just to have, with our coordination efforts, a single point of accountability for readiness in Virginia. And the new system is going to be called VQB5, all these acronyms. Now, part of that VQB5 quality system creates some practice years for us. Dimwitty County is part of the PDG B through 5, which is the Preschool Development Grant. That's a federal grant that is managed by Smart Beginnings Southeast. And we are part of that cohort, the second cohort. So what that means is we are in our first practice year. We're a little bit ahead of the game because last school year we actually practiced, and our early childhood special ed teachers were observed for the first time with the class tool. And we also have our vetted program, which this is our 3rd year of implementation, which we really look at it as our first, since it's our first full, what we're supposed to have as a typical year. We're really excited because we practice this year, we practice next year, and then these scores are not going to be publicly shared until 2023. But based on our observations and our ratings that we received last school year, we have 2 internal class observers. We are already above the benchmark that the state of Virginia is looking for. So we're really proud of our the Virginia preschool and the early childhood special ed programs. So when we think about our vision for early learning in Dimwitty County, certainly Dr. West and I talk about this all the time, that we would love to just accept them all. We want all the opportunities we can for early learning, regardless of to family income. Because unfortunately, with the Virginia Preschool Initiative Grant and Head Start, there is that income criteria. So what we're looking at is just, that's our vision, that eventually all children will have access regardless of income. We also believe that families should have choice. Of course, we want to be their choice, but we believe in them having choice. So that's why this year we've really had this coordinated effort with meeting with our family providers, our daycare centers, Head Start, which we've done a really good job with our coordinated efforts with them. But through our Virginia Preschool Initiative Steering Committee, and that's the committee that Dr. Weston was referencing. We meet quarterly, and we've already met really twice this year because we had a face-to-face meeting where we invited them in just to kind of share our vision, hear from them. And then we had another meeting in November. Our next one is scheduled for January. And the great things coming out of that is we're really looking at coordinated efforts and really providing families with like a single point of entry and assisting them with removing barriers and trying to complete the application process, whether it's through the Common Help site, through the state, or it's through the school system. Just yesterday, I received kind of like a cheat sheet for parents from the Department of Social Services where we're all working together. We're also working on creating those joint efforts throughout the communities beginning in January for recruitment and enrollment and providing flyers to our families. Like right now, we know that we still have openings at Sunnyside, so to Stepping Stone. So we're working together to make sure we can try to fill our enrollment at both locations. Of course, with any program comes challenges, and with the pandemic, that has certainly presented us with some challenges. With recruitment and enrollment, it seems like every 2 to 3 students that we enroll, 1 or 2 drops. So we're constantly trying to get our students in there. Staffing has been an issue at the daycare centers within the school system. Thankfully, you guys approved our latest hire this evening, so now the Virginia Preschool Grant, is our program, Bright Stars, is fully staffed again. Transportation throughout the county with transporting our 3 and 4-year-olds, that's really presenting us with some challenges. That's a big day, especially with our children that are being shuttled to one school from their home and then to another school. For our families, we really have a lack of options for infants and for 2s and 3s in our community. We have a lack of providers that offer those extended hours. And then for our early learners and our school-age children, those before and after care programs. So again, just to reemphasize, our goals with early learning in the community are those coordinated efforts for recruitment and enrollment, creating those strong partnerships with families, and just that consistent collaboration. And then lastly, just to ensure, like we said, that all families have a choice and an opportunity for early learning. Any questions on, that's probably more than you ever wanted to know about early learning in the county?
If it was between 3 and 4-year-olds, it looked like 220 or something around that. So that's about 100 per kindergarten class. So if there's approximately 300 people who register for kindergarten every year, about how many of that 300 have had some sort of pre-instruction? Is it just this third?
No, ma'am, because we also enroll students that have attended daycare centers like in the community, Okran, Kids First. We have some that come from Atoka Baptist. We have some that have had early learning opportunities in Chesterfield or Colonial Heights. So that doesn't include all of our.
So how many of our potential kindergarten, around 300, do we usually think have had some preschool experience?
I think based on the data that we had last year, maybe 45%, and that was a little lower because of the pandemic.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So what we try to do is when children enter kindergarten, they do complete a preschool setting form that gives us that information, and that's one of the reports that we report to the state. So we have that concrete data to see how many of our children had no formal preschool experience, how many had maybe 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, a federal program. Mm-hmm. So we do get the data on that. And then unfortunately, what we found with last school year is even children that attended a private setting for preschool, it wasn't a quality preschool program because of the pandemic and staffing and consistency.
It's really about the experiences, right, that kids have before they get to us, because some of these kids can be their grandparents can be the ones that are the providers, but because they provided them with such rich experiences that don't include, like as we were talking yesterday, that don't include a tablet and a television.
Right. Being read to.
School really, really ready. So it is about the kinds of experiences, and so we just wanted to make sure that every child has the opportunity to have those kinds of rich experiences before they get to us, because that does increase the vocabulary of kids and.
I mean, there's data to support that those are the kids that are more likely to be reading on grade level. They're more likely to graduate from high school, to get higher paying jobs.
Right. And that's why this is so important, and we wanted to share this with you, is because we always talk about the end result versus talking about what happens on the front end. And this is so critical because, as Ms. Brooks just said to you, if we want to know whether or not what our graduating class is going to look like, we start looking at third grade reading levels. We look at where they were in kindergarten and how they came to us and their readiness level in kindergarten. So there are a lot of indicators long before they get out of elementary school. And definitely when they get into middle school, we can pretty much tell which way they're moving. So we just know we have to start front-loading the success of kids instead of always that remediation on the other end. You know,
And school readiness.
Right.
And literacy.
Right, and that's
So
why
many
it's severe.
hats.
And literacy, not just in an English classroom, literacy everywhere.
Right, absolutely.
So that's why it was important to share that with you, and that our goal is to make certain that every class of 300, because we know there are always like 300 2-year-olds, 300 4-year-olds, 300 3-year-olds somewhere, they just have a place. And that's why we're meeting with everybody, make sure we know where all those kids are and they have a place to go.
Like right now, I probably have 30 files
Yeah.
of people that have applied. And unfortunately, the bulk of the families that have applied for preschool in the county are at the northern end, and we're at capacity at Sutherland and Southside.
Right. We even talked about recruiting together. Like, there's no reason why parents need to come, well, you know, I'm going to go to the school system or I'm going to go to Stepping Stone. We can all do this together. And just like you have a job fair, parents can come in and they can figure out what's the right fit for their child. And we can make sure that every child has a place.
Because, I mean, I learned a lot by meeting with the daycare centers and just their process for offering subsidy. Because I've had conversation with parents who decided not to send their 4-year-old to the public setting, and I'm like, well, you know, you have other opportunities if you're not comfortable with the public school setting. You know, if you live in McKinney, you have Stepping Stones, and they'll work with you. And they've increased the income, where families that even have higher income can receive subsidy, but there's just not an awareness level there. So we're brainstorming, like, how do we make that process easier for parents? Because through the Department of Social Services, there's a 30-day time limit. And if a parent's struggling to try to get a birth certificate or trying to get a physical or immunizations, it's like, what can we all do to ensure that child gets in school sooner?
We do want to try to tackle that shuttle system that really puts kids on buses for very long periods of time. And the goal would be that each school would have their own preschoolers. So kids could automatically start going to school where they're going to go to school. So they get on the bus with their brothers and sisters, and then we don't have to shuttle kids from one location to another. It's a long day for kids.
And we've done a really good job with Bright Stars, because now our Sutherland babies are Sutherland and Midway.
Yeah.
Our South Side with just a couple Dimwitty elementary shuttles because of the early childhood special ed program. But we have children that come to Dimwitty that get shuttled to Sunnyside, and they may be on that bus 20 minutes before they get to Dimwitty Elementary, and then they're going to Sunnyside. But then when we look at Head Start, and Head Start increased their 3-year-olds, they're coming from all 5 schools to Southside. I asked them for updated numbers, so in case anyone asked, I would have actual numbers. I didn't get them by this morning, but I really wanted to be able to say, this is how many coming from Sunnyside, coming from Dimwitty Elementary, Midway, Sutherland. It is a big day.
It's a big day.
Yeah. They're hungry, they're tired, they want to go home.
Yes, they're so cute too.
Yes.
And the other thing I asked her to speak to you all about tonight is just where we are with our English learners, because that population is growing.
Yes.
And the needs are growing.
Yes, Dimwitty is considered a hot spot.
Yeah.
I asked Mrs. Maldonado to stop recruiting. We're
very welcoming.
Yes, and she did an amazing job with having those students and those families here this evening. I really appreciate that. So for our English learners, I'm sure you've heard them called ESOLs, ESLs, ELLs, Ls. Currently, Virginia is referring to them as Ls, English learners. That's pretty much it, ELs. So this evening, I just wanted to provide you with an overview of what determines an L in Dinwiddie County, what home languages we currently have in our schools, our enrollment, our staff, and then some of our goals and challenges that we are having at this point. So our English learners are supported by our Title III, and that's a federal grant, which is for language instruction for English learners and immigrant students. And the way Dinwiddie County utilizes the funds is really just to support that acquisition of English language. Our population, like we said, has increased, so the need to support our Ls and their families has also increased. Now, the program that we provide for our Ls is called an English Immersion program, which means that our students, when they come to us, they are enrolled in classrooms and content teachers, and then they get support from a certified staff. So what determines if a child is an English language learner? According to federal guidelines, every student that's newly enrolled, kindergarten through 12th grade, preschool, the application includes it on the application. But for kindergarten through 12th grade, there's a home language survey. And there's these 3 questions on the survey. What primary language is used in the home, regardless of the language the child speaks? What is the language most often spoken by the student? And what is the language that the student first acquired? Any yes answer to any of those questions creates the need for a screening. And what we do is the ESOL certified staff who are trained provide a WIDA screener. Any student that scores below a 4.4 on that screener is identified as an English learner. And then the process that follows that is we notify the parents. We have a parent notification. Parents do have the option of opting out. We have a very low opt-out. This year we have 1, and that's the first one we've had since I've been at central office. So there is a low rate there. Now, when we think about the home languages in Dimwitty County, here's what I thought was very eye-opening. We have 211 students with non-English households in this community. 211. And these are the languages that we have in our community. Spanish, Korean, Italian, Chinese, Arabic. Who wants to take a jab at how you say that word? First one, African?
African.
Yes. So now all of them but Spanish are just a small population. Like I can tell you Korean is 3 students at the high school. Italian, 2 students. Chinese, 2 at Dimwitty Elementary. Arabic, we have a population at Midway, and then we have an 8th grader. But when we think about our Spanish learners, we think, oh, they're just Spanish learners. But what's unique is that the country that they come from. In our community, we have English learners from Honduras, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Peru, El Salvador, and Guatemala. And what we find that's really challenging for us is our little ones that come from Honduras because it's very different. So currently, as of last week, I know that we have 2 students that are in the process of enrolling right now, a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old, thanks to Mrs. Maldonado. She keeps me very informed. So currently, right now, this is our enrollment. So as you can see, we are right at that 100 mark. And the standards of quality states 1 ESOL certified teacher per 50. We were very forward thinking because we went ahead this school year and we were able to get an additional ESOL certified teacher. So we're very excited about that. As we said, there's steady increase in the past several years, and what that led to, if you all remember back in June, that the Title III grant, we used to be part of a consortium, and that's comprised of school divisions that have 100 or less students. Well, they kind of recognized that Dinwitty's a hot spot and the enrollment's increasing, so we came out of the consortium grant, and now we're in the consolidated grant with Title I and Title II. And what that means for us is just some additional funding, which is greatly needed. As of now, we have 6 newcomers 11 newcomers in our division, and that means students that speak absolutely no English. And 2 of those are at the high school, and 4 of those are at the middle school. So just imagine the challenges of these students coming to us, and 1 is Arabic at the middle school. Southside, if you notice, their enrollment's at 42, but what we do with our Southside population is any student in 1st through 5th grade that speaks no English, we shuttle them to Southside because Mrs. Maldonado has a newcomer program and she's able to service them every single day. Now, for our kindergarten babies, we leave them in kindergarten. Since we are an English language immersion program, what better place for them to be than in a language-rich environment? Another thing that is interesting to note is of this population, we have 22 Ls that are considered long-term. And what that means is they have been in our L program for 5 or more years. The bulk of those students are at the secondary level, because certainly we have those students that came to us at the secondary level who spoke no English. And then, and we feel like that long term has really been affected by the pandemic also. For the last several years, we could have probably gotten that number down a little. So as you can see, we have Ls in all 7 of our schools. This is the current staff that we have. We have Tracy Booker, Michael Mulligan, and Alma Maldonado. Another person that we have had the unique opportunity to secure a consistent L tutor. Allison Ingalaba comes to us with a wealth of experience, a master's in linguistic studies, who's currently going through VDOE to be a career switcher for ESOL certification. She assists us at Southside and Sutherland. We also were able to hire a dual language paraprofessional in preschool at Southside, so she's a big help there also. And we have partnerships with University of Richmond and with VCU. We just met with VCU yesterday. Mainly those partnerships are at the secondary level, and they provide us with tutors, and we're working on that translation service with them. Along with our current Ls of 100, we also have 19 Ls that have to be monitored. And what does that mean? That means for 4 years, once a student exits the program by receiving that 4.4 on the WIDA assessment, which measures speaking, listening, reading, and writing, then we have to monitor them for 2 years to ensure that they are still making academic progress. We have to report on them for 4 years. So with our, even though our caseloads may be a little bit lower, our needs at the secondary level are higher, and then our monitoring students, especially at Dimwitty Middle School, is a high number. So some of the challenges that we face, as I mentioned, the pandemic has not helped any of us. We have our newcomers, we have our long-term Ls, we have our language barriers, which, presents challenges for our family engagement. We do have a program being scheduled for the high school at the end of January for parents of Ls, and VCU is partnering with us with that. When we look at communication, one of the things that we must do is provide our English learner families with language, with communication in their home language. So that's something that we're continuing to investigate and trying to find an affordable translation solution, because Google is, it's time consuming for our staff, especially a teacher that has 3 or 4 Ls in her classroom and she's trying to communicate with families. And I put the African refugees on here because we're still unsure of what that's going to mean for us. We receive a lot of information from the state about how we can assist those families now and what we can anticipate. So we don't know what that enrollment's going to look like when it hits us. I don't want to say if, because we really feel like it's going to be a win.
Yes.
And then lastly, our goals for our Ls is that just to ensure that our teachers and our staff have the resources that they need in the professional development. Again, like Dr. Weston mentioned, we want our Ls reading on grade level by 3rd grade also. They're part of our population and they're included in that. We definitely want to expand our communication and relationship with our parents and our stakeholders. And then something that's coming down the pike are new WIDA standards.
I forgot to mention that for early learning too. We have new standards for them too, new this year. New WIDA standards for English learners are beginning. We're going to do a soft rollout next school year, and then those WIDA standards will be implemented in the 2023 school year. So we definitely want our L's to exit within 4 years by receiving that 4.4 or higher score to pass the reading SOL assessment. A newcomer that is new to us does not have to take that English SOL assessment in the first 12 months that they're here. So that does help them a little bit, helps us too. And certainly when we're looking down the road, we want them to graduate on time and to be ready, life ready, upon graduation. That pretty much concludes my presentation. Are there any questions on English learners?
It's an observation of the English learner not having to take that test for 12 months of getting here. If you put any one of us in a foreign country, and in 1 year you had to take a test and read in their language, that is absurd.
And they never allow them to exempt math. Math is not an allowable exemption.
And so much of the
or
math
science.
is in a written form. The math is not just numbers, it's also words.
Yep, and math nor science are ever allowed to be exempted, and then the social studies, it's a one-time exemption. So it can either be Virginia studies or civics, which typically we opt for that 7th grade civics.
Right.
Yeah.
It's sad that we're doing that. We need to give them more time.
The other thing that for these for the kids, the earlier we get them, the better we do with them, right? And so when the kids come to us in late middle school or in high school, we do see a tendency to lose them as far as dropping out of school because it is a high frustration for these kids that come with no language.
Right.
Just trying to navigate. A lot of them start to work very early when they get here, or they're staying with other families. We said other family members, not typically their parents. So
No.
there's a lot of challenges, a lot of life going on.
And then
with
we
these
have there's a new term called SLIFE, and those are students that come to us that are 8 years or older that have had an interruption in their formal education. We have a family that we enrolled that are attending Southside. It's a preschooler or first grader and a fourth grader, and these students were basically on the run for a year. So now they're here with us, and we're trying to get them acclimated to a structured setting. Some of them have never been in a school setting, a formal setting before. We have kiddos at the high school. A 17-year-old enrolled in 9th grade, but there's no transcripts.
Right.
So we certainly have our challenges.
But the State Department wants them to be held accountable just like everybody else.
Yes.
Instead of providing, kind of allowances they need.
And the good news about many of our ESL kids or L kids is that we have many who've gone on from us and are very successful and very driven to work and succeed. And, we have lots of success stories, as many school divisions do. And so it's not all bad news. They have a drive. They want to succeed and they want to be.
That's why we're really excited with our partnership with VCU, because it's also about assisting the families and the students and letting them know that VCU is an option for them for continuing education. So we're really excited about that.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Penny. You're welcome. Very great. I had the opportunity a week or so ago to sit in hear the comprehensive audit findings. I asked Christy if she just would like to just come forward for a moment just to give you a broad overview about the success of our audit. And I know that you all have a copy of it. I feel like she should take the credit. I could just take the credit, but she needs to stand there because she did a lot of work for this, and so.
Well, I don't feel like I should take the credit. I think it's a group effort because we have a great team here. And because people are very diligent, people, care about what they do every single day, makes it easy at the end because we did end up with the county did have a very good audit, as they have in years past. It was, not a shocker or anything. But the company of Brown Edwards is our audit firm, and they came last week and presented the whole, overview of the outlook, financial outlook of the county, and the report, and things that they did and tested, and pointed out. There were a few things in there I'm sure they pointed out. They did test a big portion of a smaller portion of our federal funding this year related to COVID and or CARES funding. And I do understand that we've gotten notification that we're going to have another audit next summer on some state funding for that as well. So there were extra things that had to be done this year that haven't had to be done in the past. Also, Brown Edwards, even though we were working with the same team, they had transitioned. They had been bought out by the public sector, had been bought out from Dixon Hughes Goodman by Brown Edwards. And so there were different things we had to do. And a lot of it was stuff we had to do kind of after the fact. And so we did have to pull together quite a few more documents. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that does. I mean, everyone here impacts our financial documents in some way. If it's they're processing an invoice, they're ordering something online, or filling out a purchase order, presenting timesheets, any of that type of thing. All of that goes back into what is looked at the end.
Well, I just want to have this opportunity to thank Christy and her team personally, because, we received, this is a small summary document, but the actual audit is a very, very thick document. And we've gone through others. This one was very, very, very comprehensive, which I love, because I think, Mr. Snuff, it's something you've talked about a lot with transparency in the public. And I think this audit provides a level of transparency that we probably have not seen. I think every year we're getting more and more transparent, and I think that it helps to aid when we go into the public to ask for things or to say this is what we need, and they can see how we're spending the money.
Yes.
But it was a flawless audit, and Christy did a great job leading that. I just wanted to thank her publicly for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, she keeps us straight.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's always good to be straight with the money, right? And our last presentation this evening is, I asked Mrs. Branch, we've talked a lot about, I know you've been talking about collective bargaining, you've been reading about it in the newspaper. Mrs. Branch and I have been working on it for some time, just researching. So I just asked her to come forward and just provide you kind of with a broad overview about collective bargaining and how we're leaning forward with this. And we'll be bringing back a more formal recommendation in January for you.
Thank you, Dr. Weston, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to present this information. I want to thank Bonnie for working with me on such short notice to make me look so good up here today as well. So I want to just jump right into the presentation, which I have titled as A Path Forward Together, because I understand that the option for us to consider collective bargaining within our school division will be a path forward that we will share with our employees as well as with our leadership and with the board. So I thought it would be best for me to be able to define what collective bargaining is as we navigate through this together. And in general terms, for the purposes of a school division, collective bargaining would allow you the opportunity to authorize a union or an employee association to be the exclusive bargaining agent for a select group of employees. The purpose of it would be for both of those parties to come together in good faith to be able to negotiate the terms and conditions of the employment with the intention of us entering into an agreement for a specified period of time. Previously, school divisions did not have the authority to recognize labor unions or to allow the entering of being in a collective bargaining agreement. But recently, the General Assembly passed some legislation which allows local schools the authority to make that decision on a case-by-case basis. It was delayed shortly thereafter, and then as of May 1st of 2021, it went into effect for schools to be able to make those choices. Now, the locality or school division does also determine the scope of the bargaining, or in other words, the areas that can be negotiated within a collective bargaining process. As I mentioned previously, I referenced this phrase such as terms and conditions of employment. But naturally, what that would mean in this setting would be wages, benefits, and working conditions of employees. The way that our current path exists at this moment, we do not have any collective bargaining agreements that are in place at this time. I do say, proudly that we have always been willing to address employee concerns in a respectful manner, and have always made our decisions based on what's been in the best interest of our students and our staff. Prior to this even becoming a law, we have had several instances in which we have allowed the Dimwitty Education Association or representatives of the Virginia Education Association to join us at the table as we navigate through decisions that impact our staff members. We've also even allowed other employee advocates to come to meetings when they have requested it, all in a spirit of transparency to help us be able to solve problems and come up with reasonable solutions for our staff. As it relates to our path forward right now, we have started on a ongoing, I guess I'll say, path of communication that's already been established. I spoke towards what's been done previously with the DEA and the VEA, but most recently, as of last week, we did have a meeting with representatives from those organizations just to get a pulse for their thoughts and opinions about the collective bargaining process. And we also talked about opportunities for growth so that we could go ahead and work on things. If they saw it was something that could be changed or resolved right now, we wanted to know what could we do to fix it. So out of that meeting, we did learn from them that they would like to see collective bargaining within our school division. And their primary reason was for them to be able to provide assurance for the future. The representative of the Virginia Education Association was very complimentary of Dr. Weston's leadership and indicated that in many ways that we have served as a model school division to her in comparison to other situations that she has managed on behalf of the employees. She felt that Dimwitty had been a great model in the way to address employee matters and concerns. And we don't take that comment, with a grain of salt. I do take that very seriously, and I feel that it's also very humbling that she would say that openly, and then also to have other employees in that same meeting to agree with her on that comment as well. So I know that for us to be able to reach that point doesn't come from a silo environment. It's come from many days of us working together and collaborating, not just with the DEA and the VEA, but also we have a great leadership team within our school divisions that has been able to share the vision of being able to provide a safe and inclusive environment for the students as well as the staff. So as we continue this path forward, I think that it is important that we point out that we have already set a track record of creating and sustaining a culture of care for our staff. And whether or not we do choose to pursue collective bargaining as being a part of our school division in the future, I do feel like that we have the supports in place to navigate those experiences, whatever they may be. So to be able to fairly assess whether or not this would be a good alternative for Dimwitty, we feel that it would be best for us to welcome the discussions about collective bargaining so that our employees can learn more about it, become more aware, and be more informed to be able to contribute towards that decision-making process. It is my hope that the employees already see and already realize the work that we have done. We have been very open to allowing employees to share ideas and not just share those ideas, but there's been many instances in which we've taken action based on the feedback of our employees. Now, the one thing that I would like to point out in this process is that while collective bargaining is largely used to negotiate those terms and conditions of employment, such as wages, benefits, and working conditions, two of those areas, wages and benefits, as you know, are largely in part handled based on what we receive in our annual budget. As you also know, school boards do not have the ability to be able to appropriate the funding sources. We have been able to successfully manage through a great working relationship with the county in being able to get the funds that we need. However, they're not our only source of funding. We also receive funds from federal funding as well as state funding. So those are all areas that are outside of the school board's control. And I'd just like to highlight that that would be, I guess, a area of concern when considering if collective bargaining is an option for this school division, because we are limited in that regard in how the funding is received and what it can be used for. So I thought I'd just take a couple of moments to be able to highlight many of the accomplishments that we have made over time, and largely in part with the help of the school board to be able to create and sustain this culture of care at Dimwitty County Public Schools. I'll do my best to go through this as quickly as possible, but there are, as I began collecting information, I realized it's not all inclusive because I sat down and thought about, oh, I didn't put this, I didn't put that. But there's really been a lot of things that we have done recently, just thinking back over the last 2 years to be able to maintain this culture of care environment. As you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted us in a lot of ways, and we have pivoted in that regard and being able to provide an environment in which instruction can continue. We have recently increased our nursing staff and the substitute pool to be able to address COVID-19 contact tracing protocol so that all of our students can continue to have the opportunity to learn in person. There's also been some enhancements to the student learning process and how our students receive information online. Dr. Weston, I don't know where that came from, but Dr. Weston has also started her own Superintendent's Advisory Council, one that's for teachers and then one that's also for bus staff, so that they can regularly express their concerns and questions to her on a regular basis. And she also uses it as a platform to provide them with updates on the direction that the school division is heading into. We've also had community conversations, town halls, and also other informal opportunities in which our staff members have had an opportunity to be abreast of what is going on at the division level. As far as for our teachers and staff, we have been able to provide several unencumbered days off, thanks to you, school board, to be able to support mental health and wellness. As some of you may also recall, last year around this time, we were able to provide a care bonus to our employees that were full-time and part-time contracted employees, and gave them up to $1,000, and that was with the county support that we were able to do that. We also implemented the emergency leave for teachers and staff that may be impacted by COVID-19 cases that occur within the school in which they were identified as an exposure. And we've also created incentives for bus, car, and school nutrition employees. Today, with your approval, we were able to recommend a 6% increase for bus drivers and car drivers that will be funded through the School Bus Driver Incentive Grant Program, and is, of course, pending the grant approval that will be effective January the 1st. This year, we also enhanced the substitute and extra duty pay for teachers and paraprofessionals. This includes pay that they can receive for covering an additional class or for late bus duty, as we have experienced shortages with not just teacher shortages, bus driver shortages, but also in being able to secure substitutes. So this has helped us to be able to combat that hurdle. We have consistently raised the base of the teacher's starting salary, and not just raised the base, but have also provided an increase each year. Not all school divisions have been able to do both. So I just want to recognize the fact that we have done that consistently, with the exception of 2020, 2021. We've also implemented a salary study for teachers in 2017. The salary study for classified employees began this year in 2021. And in both of those processes, teachers and staff were included in the process. We're also undergoing an independent review of our stipends and supplements to ensure that we're competitive with the market. And we will, again, bring our staff members to the table so they can be a part of the feedback we receive from that. We've also allowed teachers desiring to obtain the administration and supervision endorsement the opportunity to get their degree through the College of William and Mary. And in our budget proposal for fiscal year 2023, we are proposing that we extend the course reimbursement beyond just provisionally licensed teachers. We realize we have a lot of teachers that have been with Dimwitty for quite a while, as well as some classified staff members that desire to make their deep roots here with us. Many paraprofessionals that may have an associate's degree but don't have the 4-year degree that it takes to be able to teach in the classroom. So we want to be able to provide some funds for professional development, which will help encourage them to pursue those degrees or whatever those additional certifications are, so that we can not only retain our staff, but also recruit world-class staff as well for the future. Our benefits package continues to be evaluated. We continue to hear the feedback from our employees about our current program, and it has been a delicate balance over time of not charging our employees much on the rate, but also providing a benefits package that can be comprehensive. So while we realize that it is a challenge, it is something that we would like to reach. So we've already been in communication with our consultant, Mark III, and they know that we would like to look at some other options that may give our employees some better options. So now that we've discussed, the things that we've done over time, I want to direct your attention to what some next steps will be in our path forward. we would like to go ahead and host some listen and learn sessions for our staff members to learn about the collective bargaining process and what it may have to offer. We already discussed it with the Dimwitty Education Association, and they were very happy to learn that they would be invited to be a part of that conversation. So we're going to be looking at some dates in early January where our employees can come and hear all the sides of collective bargaining, for their own consideration. The next step in that process would be for you, the school board, to pass a resolution. Ideally, the board should determine what stance you would like to take when it comes to collective bargaining. This path forward, I hope, will allow you that opportunity to decide what the best decision will be for DCPS based on what our culture, our values are, and what the needs of our stakeholders are. When you pass this resolution, the resolution should do one of two things. It should either, one, allow for the recognition of unions as a bargaining agent and allow for the collective bargaining between those representatives, or it should clearly specify that we're not authorizing collective bargaining in the school division at this time. So in conclusion, I hope that as we move forward, that I hope that you'll consider what we've done over the years to be able to create and sustain this environment that we call a culture of care, in conjunction with what collective bargaining may have to offer for our employees and in the school division. Now, there is a possibility that once you consider all that there is to offer with collective bargaining, that maybe perhaps you won't feel it's the best path forward. But I trust you as our school board that you'll listen to our employees and that you'll make the decision that's within our best interest. Oh, the end. Abruptly. But anyways, regardless of whatever your decision is, I know that we'll be on this path together. So I invite you to ask me any questions that you may have at this time.
I don't have any questions, but I just appreciate you and Dr. Weston and whoever else is involved, where you're always thinking about our employees, period. And I appreciate that because you're constantly thinking about ways to continue the culture of care that will support our school division. So I want to say thank you for even doing this presentation.
Absolutely.
I want to say that I really support the spirit of cooperation and the culture of care and compliment everyone who has created that and continues to use it. But I do have the concern that you pointed out that, the state, the federal, and the county are responsible for the funding. And some states or communities have an MOU agreement about the percentages that they get. I know Hopewell has one of those. And some states allow school boards to raise funds. And I was thinking while you were doing it that if we, if they were unions negotiating, they would need to be negotiating with the person that's providing the funds.
Not us.
And so that is a concern. And yet, I don't have a concern about us trying to do everything possible to have the spirit of cooperation and allow people in on the conversation.
Thank you. Yes, I do see that as I see as the greatest challenge. I believe right now. And, I could also say, too, in my opinion, I feel that we have continued to work, as a whole to be able to resolve employees' concerns, in a timely manner and in a respectful manner as well. I think it's evident just from the feedback from the VEA that we have been successful in doing that. Their concern is will it continue once Dr. Weston is no longer here and someone else is there? So I
That would
think,
be
you know,
up to us to make sure to replace her with someone with the same
Yes.
culture of care. So the
Right.
answer to that is yes.
yes.
Don't let her go.
From this one person. Either that or she can't leave.
That's right, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Any more questions for Ms. Branch?
No.
Yes, thank
You
you
did
for
a
that
very good job.
comprehensive.
Thank
And
you.
it is, you know, very evident that y'all do a fantastic job working with the staff that's, you know, and letting them know what is happening all the time.
Mhm.
I think y'all do an excellent job with that. And,
Yes.
you know, it is hard. Like Ms. Pittman said, we have no taxing authority. We can't, you know, if they want more money, you know, all we can do is go to the Board of Supervisors and ask.
We can ask. We can always ask.
That's all we can do.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the ARCS report from the Appomattox Regional Governor's School update, and I'll be giving that. At our last month meeting, we had one action report, and that is to replace the HVAC system since the pandemic and COVID-19. The director decided, and along with us, that we should take some of the money and the grants that we have and to replace the system. However, going to the Chesterfield district to talk about the system, we now have to get 4 bids before we decide on which one we want. But whatever we do, we have to get on it real soon because we have a grant that's going to match us to half of whatever the vendor costs going to cost us. So hopefully we can get it done. It's an old building that needs a lot of repairs, and the HVAC system is one of them. So that's basically the action that's going on at the governor's school right now. Also, they presented a play last month that was a banging success. We were privy to see one scene of it, and it was very good. The students are really ready for Broadway. So that ends my report. The next one, Rwanti.
Yes, ma'am. We are embarking on some new and exciting changes at Rwanda. One of those changes will be that all 3 school divisions that are attending Rwanda will now be on a 4x4 plan, which is really going to allow us to make some adjustments in the timing. We had, for years, we were on 4x4. Prince George was on alternate day blocks, and Sussex was on a straight 7. And that presented great challenges as far as what time buses left and came back and who came and went. But now all of us will be on 4x4, so they're going to make adjustments in the times, and they've worked with each school division. And the adjustments in the times will allow more hours, and which allows a better certification. We're also changing some of the programs from 2 years to 1 year because of the amount of time that we'll be able to put in. They'll be able to get their certifications quicker. So there'll be some cluster programs that will run in 1 year instead of 2, and some 1 semester. So a child could possibly in junior, senior year get a carpentry certification and then also a masonry certification, or in the future, hopefully, we're looking at plumbing to add. So it will improve the course offerings that we have, and a student could come out with multiple certifications, which would really enhance their job prospectus. We've also been working with the CTE program directors and the superintendents on what would be available to add at Rwanti. We looked at HVAC, we've looked at plumbing, but we've decided to go forward on plumbing and look at how to get it and where to get it and how the certifications would run. And that's certainly one of the areas that the jobs are very much available in. There's a serious shortage of plumbers in this area. So we're working to move to that. And then we're also having to redo our Memorandum of Understanding between the 3. When we first started this 25 years ago, how many slots each person had was a prospectus for that. But now we're looking at rewriting that so that, for example, if we had 8 seats in a area and we didn't fill our 8 seats and it went to Prince George, that the amount of funds that people paid per seat would be floating, so to speak. So we need to rewrite that memorandum of understanding. Also, there's been a big improvement in the job offers and the students testing and getting their certifications. And they've hosted several job fairs, and kids are getting offered jobs on the spot. So it is very lucrative to get those certifications. Not everyone who goes to Rwani goes into that business. Some of them still choose to go to college, but a lot of times the college may coincide with the certification that they had there, such as electricity and some of the other areas that do have a college certification to go with that. Anything else, Dr. Weston, that you can think of? Thank you.
Okay. Board member, citizens' comments on agenda? No. Okay. Board member comments, Mr. Smith?
Just want to congratulate all the recognitions. They're definitely well-deserved awards. Thanks for everything everyone does to make Dimwitty a better place. And then just wish everybody a happy, safe Christmas and New Year. And enjoy, spend time with family, and just relax.
Mrs. Haney?
Well, same here. Want to congratulate Miss Benjamin and Miss Pittman again for their recognitions. It was absolutely wonderful. And it was very nice having the L's do the Pledge of Allegiance and then do it in Spanish, which was very interesting. But I'm so glad we were able to have those little kids here and also our little early learners to sing for us. And want to wish everybody again a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And like Mr. Schneff said, enjoy yourself, relax, and enjoy your family. And we will see you back in January.
It's Pittman.
I would like to congratulate Mary Benjamin on her award. She does a lot for the district and the region and the state,
Yes.
and she is well deserving of how much time and she puts into the VSBA. So congratulations, Mary. The other thing I would like to share a little bit about, I'd like to compliment Jenny Perkins, who's the county treasurer. She has, over the last couple of years, gotten a permission and reinvested our scholarship fund for Dimwitty High School. And recently, that report was given to the Board of Supervisors. And through her hard work, that program has grown immensely, and we were able to reap the benefits of a better investment. And so she's just took it on herself to do this from her position, and it really has increased what we're able to offer through the Pamplin Scholarship. So I'd like to thank her.
Well, everything that everybody else has said, but I think Jay said it best. Thank you to everyone who does who do everything they can to make Dimwitty a better place. But not because these two ladies are two of my favorite people, but I can think of two individuals who deserve recognition, and that's Miss Benjamin and Miss Pittman. So again, I want to congratulate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, board members. Thanks to each of you out there who make us the great district that we are. We can do nothing without each other. I was at the store today, and the lady said, "We short of change. I gotta give you all. I can't take you 30 cents because I can't give you the change." I said, "Wait, I have 30 cents. I can give it to you." I said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "We work together. We can get this done. And whatever it is, we can get it done." And she said, "You know what? Yes, we can. You have a good day." And I said, "And so do you." So if we continue to work together, we can get this done, and we will have awards after awards every year. And thanks again to Ms. Pittman Miss Pickman drives us to Williamsburg every year, and that's our greatest conversation time, and we thoroughly enjoy it. And this year she couldn't bring me back because she had to come back early, and I found another good driver as well as a riding buddy, Miss Golson. And I thank you, Miss Golson, publicly for what you did for me because you went out of your way. So have a Merry Christmas, and don't forget to enjoy your time off. A lady told me this morning, said we get so bogged down in schedules until we forget to enjoy. So enjoy your time off. Dr. Weston?
No, Claire.
The student.
Claire.
Claire.
Miss Claire.
Oh,
Claire, I don't know how I forget it every time it's right here.
you're good. Jamaica sends her love from Paris right now.
Paris.
Yes, yes, very jealous.
I don't know why she couldn't make the meeting.
Yeah. Okay, let me make sure I cover everything. I had the privilege to go to the band and chorus concert that happened about a week ago, I think, and it was so good. All of the students did amazing, and it's really glad to see, especially the band concert. Well, I have personal interest in it because one of my best friends is going to be the new leader of it. But our band took a big hit because of COVID, a very big hit. They actually stopped teaching band at the middle school, but thankfully this year they have brought it back and they have tried to recreate and recruit students for our band. So they're going to have a lot of new band members soon, which is really nice because our band is personally what I think makes the football games or helps make the football games. So that's really nice. We also had the student voices on the race and diversity meeting. I saw some of you there, but that went very well too. I think I didn't participate in it, but Jamaica did. And there were some great conversations that started with that. And I think it's a great start in moving forward with the future. Winter sports have started, and everyone is getting really excited about that. Basketball, wrestling, track. I don't know if I'm missing anything, but everyone else is really excited about that. When the band concert happened, there was a basketball match, and the parking lot was full. I had to park on the whole other side of the school. It was insane. So that was amazing to have people actually be able to come and support again because that didn't get to happen last year. And I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Dr. Weston.
So everything is about leadership, and everything that you're saying about one another and about our school system is about your leadership, and you make us, inspire us to want to be better and to do better, and I just thank you all for that. It is an honor to get to work with people, and I know I voice or echo everybody in this room that it's a pleasure to work for a board that really does care about people and kids, and so it makes it really easy to come to work every day. I don't know if you noticed the pictures in the room today. Christy Clark and Bonnie put those pictures together for us. We're trying to capture what Dimwitty, our school system, and we think it brings a nice, it's nice in here, right, to capture that. So we're going to be working throughout the rest of the building. So thank you for those, for working on that for us. Two quick things. This week, I had a parent stop me in the parking lot to say to me that he said, "Do you have a minute? I just want to tell you a quick story." And I said, "Of course, I have 2 minutes for you, And so I said, "Yes, sir." And he wanted me to tell me that when his son was in the 9th grade, that he pulled up to the high school and the counselor was leaving. He was all packed up and ready to go. And he really wanted his son to talk to the counselor. He said, can you meet with us? My son wants to talk about what he wants to be when he grows up, and if you could help us." And so the counselor went back in and sat with him for over an hour and worked through his schedule. This was Mr. Rapp. And he wanted me to know that his son now is graduating early from college and just accepted a job in engineering from a Fortune 500 company making 6 figures. And he really did attribute the turning point for him that Dan Rapp took a moment in time when he didn't have a moment, but he took his time and went, and that really to me exemplifies the people that work in Dimwitty County. The second one is most recently, we were talking about Miss Maldonado. We have a lot of stories about Miss Maldonado. But just briefly, one of those babies that were at the border, they were all dropping the babies over the border with the names on them. One of them had Miss Maldonado's name attached to the child. So, I mean, our reach is big, you know, and the people that work in this community and it's just amazing, the people we get to work with every single day. And so I'm just so appreciative for it, and we certainly don't take any of that lightly. Last, I'll just say to you, my dad sends me a message every day, and I think especially as you came in today to talk about slowing down and everything, this is what today's was. Look around you, appreciate what you have. Nothing will be the same next year. So just appreciate this moment in time, be present in this moment in time, knowing that next year, this time, it could all be very different. So I just thought that was just slow down and appreciate this moment and the people that are in your life in this moment. And that's all I have today.
Okay.
Oh, do we have to announce the public hearing to move to that body? How do we move into that?
We just move into.
Okay. I mean, anybody that wants to leave can leave. They don't have to stay.
Yeah, and
I think we just say we're going into the public hearing.
Okay. So now we're gonna go into a public hearing.
Anybody'd like to leave, they don't have to stay if they don't.
You may leave. Those of you who want to leave may leave.
Not you, Morgan. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we are. Yeah. She wants you to take this thing, flower. She wants you to take the poinsettia.
You want, that's for me?
Yes. I know.
She's maturing, you can tell. Quite a young lady. Yes, we're ready.
So, Ms. Benjamin, this evening, we are moving into a public hearing for the sale of surplus real estate in accordance with Virginia Code 22.1-129. We are holding now a public hearing on the sale and retention of proceeds in accordance with that. And this is for our property. It's 0.132 acres of our property located over here on Carson Road. I believe we're going to have a map that you should see it. Do you have that picture, Bonnie, that we can show them?
I have it, I just have to find it.
Okay, well, we're going to find it in just a second. And the purpose of this hearing would be to declare, Ms. Ingram's here from the county to assist us with this process or answer any questions that you all might have. But the purpose of this would be to declare the property be a surplus and then to move forward with a contract that we've received on the property. Is there something you wanted to say, Morgan, to that?
No, I was just gonna tell her it was in the PDF.
Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. It's a little bit, yeah, it's backwards, I guess. But what you can see, the property there, you know, it's the property we used to have our school nutrition. I think transportation was over there at one point. And what it does is, for Mr. Webb, who owns Route One Country Store, he is offered to purchase that small triangular piece of property. What it does is it squares off his property. And we did have the property appraised. It does very little to diminish the value of the property. We still will will still be in our retention. We will still retain. But it's just that small piece of property. And he's, you know, do we have any questions about that, or anybody here would like to speak to that? Yes, please.
I think you just need to open and close the public hearing portion.
Before we do what?
Before you vote on the resolution.
Okay. So right now, we're open in the public hearing part of it, and then so if anybody'd like to speak to that. Or we can answer any questions, Morgan, as well, correct?
I saw the piece one day when I was over there. He showed it to me, and it's just a small little triangle piece, but it just makes his parking lot, it improves the way his trucks can come in and deliver and get turned around and get back out. And so he has improved his property back there to make a loading dock, and he just didn't want to keep backing over something he didn't own.
Right.
So it's just a small little sliver, but it allows his delivery people to get in and turn around and get back out.
So, by, excuse me, by making it surplus, that gives us the right to go ahead with the sale.
That's great.
Excuse me. And if how soon do we want to allow him to purchase it?
I think what we said in the contract, we had said, or we said that we talked about it closing sometime before January, maybe in January. I think that's what it was. We currently, the property that we own there, we don't use it. The buildings that are there probably would not be something that we would ever be able to use again. So the property, our properties, we'll just retain the property for now.
So is it appropriate to make a motion that we move forward with the sale?
I think what Ms. Morgan has said is that we have to close the public hearing portion of
And
it,
then vote.
and then we vote on the resolution that has been provided about the sale of the property.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Madam Chairman, you would just close the public hearing portion and then.
Like we do the budget.
Move on to this resolution that you have right there.
Are we ready? Are we
Okay.
ready?
I
We
think so.
will- Okay, if no more questions, we will now close the public hearing for this portion of this public hearing. And we will now go into the resolution.
Yes, ma'am. Do you want me to read the resolution or?
Yeah, you read it.
Okay, so whereas Mark Webb of Route 1 Country Store is offered by written contract dated November 30th, 2021 to purchase .132 acres of the property owned by Dimwitty County School Board, whereas the school board considers the property to be a surplus and considering it adjoins business property of Mark Webb, the school board considers it a benefit to the community to transfer the property to Mark Webb for enhancement of his business and the community. Whereas the school board has held a public hearing on the sale and retention of the proceeds in accordance with Virginia Code 22.1-129, now it be therefore resolved that the school board declares the property to be surplus. Be it further resolved that the school board approves the contract dated November 30th, 2021 between the school board and Mark Webb for a purchase price $25,000 and directs and authorizes the chairman of the school board to sign the necessary paperwork to convey the property to Mark Webb. Be it further resolved that this resolution be recorded along with the deed to the property with the clerk of court, and be it further resolved that Dimwitty County School Board supervisors be respectfully requested to allow the school board to retain all proceeds of the sale.
Okay.
Take a vote.
Yes,
You have heard the reading of the resolution. Now we're ready to take a vote.
I move that we accept the resolution.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing no nays, we have accepted the resolution of Dinwiddie County School Board, December 14th, 2021. Okay?
I just have to click.
Is that it?
During the meeting.
So now we will return to our meeting. And if there are no more business to be entertained, we will accept the motion for adjournment.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
All, we have been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Merry Christmas.